We used to be able to rely on other people as a brain trust, but we really need to be learning. It is imperative that we learn how to rely upon our own knowing. I feel like most of us were able, in a very healthy way, for the longest time, most of our lives, to turn to other people in our community, to turn to neighbors and trusted friends, and we would sort of wait on taking actions or making up our minds about certain things because we would try and access the collective knowing. And that was a very beneficial and healthy thing at the time because it meant that we didn't take knee-jerk action on things. It meant that we got more information so that we could make a more measured decision. Now, it didn't always work perfectly. As we know, a lot of things were wrong about all of this. However, it was useful, and it could be trusted a lot of the time to give us a better insight. It also meant that we acted in a more communal or tribal fashion. There was power in numbers, there was unity. Just think about the union movement and how much benefit was gained for people collectively by coming to a collective decision and then acting in unison on that decision. But I'm certain at this point in our history, that is not the right approach to take. My personal experience has been that I have waited at certain times over the last few years, waited for things to sort of coalesce and come into focus more. I've looked around and thought, okay, let's see what other people are doing. Let's see what the collective consensus might be. Let's see some other perspectives and work out from there what the best thing is to do. And what I saw was a different pattern than what we've been able to rely upon in the past. Instead, I saw a paralysis. And once I saw action, I saw insanity. I saw unreasonable action taken out of fear, action taken because a foolish action created less anxiety than taking one based on reason. I know that sounds crazy, but it's almost like our culture has become so warped. There are popular ways of acting, and it feels easier on the nervous system to act in the popular way, even if it's going to bring a destructive outcome, because at least if we're all doing the same popular thing, when it becomes destructive, we can all look at each other and go, oh, we couldn't have known any better. And I've seen that play out collectively. I've seen it play out in a more individual level. So my point in squatting here under a pine tree in this dreary weather is to make the point that we cannot rely on that. We instead need to stop. We need to stop utilizing what was formerly a beneficial manner of gathering more information and more insight, and we need to start relying upon our own individual knowing. Of course, you want to analyze for yourself, you want to gather as much information as you can yourself, but you don't want to wait to act based on other people and their actions. You want to gather as much as possible more confidence within your own capacity to judge, so that you're not outsourcing that to your peers or to any other party. And for me, and I think for everyone, this is definitely something that we should have learned to do from a young age. We were never taught how. So it's definitely a work in progress. However, I think for my part, it's about taking small steps and not stopping. And sort of proving to yourself by doing that you have the capacity to make superior decisions because you care, because you're taking time, because you're collecting data, because you're responsible. because it matters to you to make a good judgment, and because you're going to put what is true and right above what feels good. And that in itself is a huge leverage point that you have over most of humanity. So that's my message for today. Don't spend too much time looking around, pausing and trying to get a collective consensus that we used to. Take hold of your own autonomy, grow your own capacity to trust in your own knowing, and you're going to get a far better result going forward.